Hey everybody, welcome to this demo of Logick.io. I am Paul Passy, founder and CEO. Logick is intended to sit between your data and AI, and more specifically, Logick is the purpose-built reasoning layer that governs AI query execution from question to auditable answer, delivering the explainability, traceability, and audit-ready evidence trails that regulated industries require. Essentially, we act as an intelligent data analyst that can be put into your employees' hands to basically help them explore their data. As you can see, I'm here on the dashboard. I'm going to sit here for a second, but I want to talk about some of our sort of core principles. One is we recommend an on-prem deployment. I know that's a bit different than most SaaS deployments that companies are used to today. However, we think if we're going to connect your critical, sensitive, regulated data, then you need to control that. And you need to control that on-prem. You need to control what data gets shared with Logick, and more specifically, what data gets shared with the LLMs. So we do offer a SaaS version, and you're viewing this SaaS version now. But again, a lot of our clients are going with on-prem for the data sovereignty and data governance aspects that we take a high value on. We are not going to pass AI risk committees, nor will we pass architectural review boards for a lot of companies that have regulated requirements. So two options, but think hard about on-prem. We think that's a potentially a better solution in this AI world that we're heading into, where you guys have absolute control over your data and your data sovereignty and your intellectual property. Second key point I want to make is we have very minimal data exposure to any LLM. So we do not share full raw data results up to an AI. We share very limited data, mainly schema, metadata, data types, and then prompts. And amazingly, we can get very good results, very good query results by just sharing metadata about your data. The AI does a really good job of figuring out, hey, for this question or this prompt, I have these data sets. I can formulate a SQL query that we can then run locally. But yeah, the AI does not need full data results. And number one, you're not giving away your intellectual property by doing that. And then second, we have very, very low token usage. We're basically pennies per query. We've heard anecdotal stories of companies getting $17,000, $20,000 token bills at the end of the month because their employees were just uploading results, uploading large data sets into their preferred AI without sort of regulating that cost. So again, minimal data exposure, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the product. Third point is Logick is AI agnostic. We can connect to any model, public or private. Doesn't matter to us. We believe that certain models will be great for certain tasks, and the frontier models, while maybe better, they're going to cost more. There's going to be more requirements for using those frontier models. So, AI agnostic, which we think is the place to be. You need to be able to switch between models depending on scenarios, costs, timing, and your potentially your level of risk. So, AI agnostic there. And then lastly, Logick offers full traceability. So we can show how each decision is made, how results were delivered, how did the AI or the LLM reason across disparate data sets. You need to see that, your employees need to see that, your users, ultimately because at the end of the day, they need to be able to defend the answers that they get. If they're making a critical decision using AI to assist with that decision, they need to be able to explain it. Today, if you're looking at Claude or OpenAI or ChatGPT, they are it's almost an opaque box. You can upload a bunch of data sets. You can ask questions and it'll reason through it very nicely. But you know, at the end of the day, the reasoning steps need to be very clear and articulated, not just for the user to determine, hey, I have a good answer here. I feel like this result was given and it's deterministic. For themselves, they need that, but their bosses, their leadership, potentially auditors and certainly regulators will need to know, hey, you made a critical decision based off of this data sets, and you used an LLM to assist and reason through it all. How did you make that decision, and how did you know that the decision you made based off of the results was accurate? And we show all that, and I'll share that once we get into the demo. So anyway, let's jump in here. So right here we're in our dashboard, and this is my instance. Every user will have their own sort of instance and their own numbers. In my case, I've asked 409 questions since we stood this up. My most used data set is a Qualys scan of a bunch of servers, so vulnerability data. And then I have 114 data sets in my instance today, and I've used about 14 million tokens and a little over 500,000 tokens this week alone. So everything that is done within Logick is put into a project. So projects are, they don't have to be related at all. You can pull in lots of different data sets into different projects and then run questions through them. The data sets that we put into a project should be related, but they don't need to be completely similar, or they don't have to. I'm not trying to think of the right word. They don't have to be absolutely the same types of data sets. You can put in your private data sets, so your customer information or your organizational information, but you can also throw in public data sets in there. So publicly available data sets that will help you sort of enrich the decision making and makes the reasoning just better, because you can add multiple sets of data sets into these projects. So you'll see that in a second. And then over here, you can see every session, every project has sessions within them. And then specific sessions are very specific to what problem are you trying to solve, or what data analysis are you trying to accomplish. So sessions are part of projects. I would say too that we are not particularly I would say we are a sort of data generalist tool. We're not specific to cyber. We're not specific to sales or healthcare. Although you can have a very strong focus on those, and I suspect users will have their own data sets that are related to their domain. We're a big fan of a domain expert querying their own data sets. We think that's the most powerful aspect of what we offer. So let me go over here to the side channel, and if you look at this, if you use Claude or OpenAI in your personal life, it may look similar, but know that we are built for sort of regulated industries and full respect to data sovereignty and governance. That's quite the differentiator for us. It's our edge. It allows us to work in sort of these enterprises where data sovereignty and governance is super important and must be respected. So I'm going to jump over here to the data catalog. Here's where you're going to organize all your data sets. So we have a bunch of sets here. We have identity and access management. We have some vulnerability data. We have some woodchuck data that is all synthetic. And then we have some medical records as well that we got off the internet. Somebody asked us to put this in. So we also have fraud data. Really anything you want, you can pull in here. And let's just look at the medical patient records. In this case, there's 17 data sets in here. I'm just going to open them up. So as you'd expect, a lot of different sort of data categories, data sets that are related. But but I'll just pick one here. I'll say, let's just go with claims and transactions. So in here, we can see it's definitely part of a collection. In this case, the medical patient records. It's active. It has a description. It has a little over 136,000 records, and you can classify it. You can do permissioning on it. Everything you need to do. And then down here, so if you look here, when we uploaded it or ingested this data set, we pulled out the 33 schema fields, and here they are. And you can do a quick preview, and you can see what is in each of these data sets. But the interesting thing here is we don't have a description yet. But what we can do is we can use AI to generate some metadata descriptions. So I'm just going to click that, and we do get a notice here. We'll send this will send data set info, name, column, and some sample rows to an AI provider. If you allow that, we can go ahead and do that. And when we say sample rows, we generally only share up to 20 rows per column, but we don't pull the same row within all columns. So it is a bit of an obfuscation there, but we think it's important because as you start to share, if you can share little minimal data with an AI, the results vary, and obviously we get better results. But by the way, all this metadata refinement can be turned off, as every aspect of our tool that touches AI can be turned off or tuned up or down. But as you can see here, the AI already gave us some data set metadata. So the display name, description, purpose. It recommended it be titled restricted, or the classification is restricted, and it gave us some tags. So if that all looks fine to you, it's generally most people it will. We can just apply the changes. So automatically each description is now populated. Now you can go in and do this by hand. You can change anything in here, and you can choose not to use the metadata and refinement. But hopefully you get a sense of, so this is the information that we are going to share with the LLM, not the results, not the raw results, but the schema. We're going to share the description, the tags, purpose, and of course the prompt. And we do that across every data set within this project. So, and again, we are our tool is really reasoning across all of these data sets to provide these results. And I'll show you the best way for us to really explain what this tool does is to show you. So anyway, I'm going to go down here to next is the projects, where you'll see we have a medical records project associated with this catalog. So I'm going to click there. So down here we have all the projects that are within this instance, 24 in this case. What I'm going to do is go down here to this synthetic medical patient data. So we automatically drop you into the very last session. So we're now sort of down in this section of the UI. But I'm going to back out just to go to info here. So information, about the project. So we have a description again. We have objective. So scenarios, we're talking, what is the objective of this project? And these are all things that we share with the LLM. We share it at prompting time, and it allows the LLM to sort of have some guardrails around it and have some context around what are we trying to accomplish here. From here, we can select which model we want to use for this project. And we can connect to any model, public or private. One of our largest and first customers has Azure AI Foundry, where they have over 80 models. But we can connect to, AWS Bedrock, whatever you have in-house available to you, we can use. Or we can connect to openrouter.ai, which has the ability to sort of connect to almost any model. Or we can connect directly to the public models like GPT or Sonnet or whatever you choose. We do think there's going to be a world where different models will be used for different scenarios. And even within this tool, we anticipate building sections where specific models can be selected for the task at hand. But again, every project can have its own AI model that it uses. Of course, we have full permissioning and everything that you would expect for an enterprise grade solution. In this activity for this one was 28 sessions and 72 queries, which is not a lot, but as you get more and more users, those numbers will go up significantly. Interestingly, also because we have all the prompts and we have the data sets, we can constantly look and use AI to say, hey, what is this project about? Because you might provide this to a team, and over time they're going to ask a bunch of prompts, and over time you can start to identify, hey, what are the main objectives, the directions, what are some of the discoveries. So the AI is constantly sort of assessing that, and we can share this information with leadership or the bosses and say, hey, what are my discoveries within a certain project, and we can just refresh that here. I'm not going to do that, but so anyway, let's get to the heart of it, the actual chat interface. And the way I like to describe it is we are sort of like an intelligent data analyst that can be put into anybody's hands. So I'm going to create a new session here real quick. Today in enterprises, if you are a domain expert and you have a bunch of data sets available to you, if you don't have the right tool, or if the tool or if the data sets are disparate, meaning they're in different systems of record, it can be difficult to sort of pull it all together to answer some queries and get your results. We solve that by providing that intelligent data analyst to reason across disparate data sets. So ideally, or today, if you're an enterprise, you would maybe make an appointment with your data team. And you can get on their calendar for Thursday. You go meet them. You tell them exactly what you want. These are my requirements. They turn around and they maybe pull in a couple junior data analysts and they work on this query for a few days. And then, so after a week or more, you finally get the results back, and you hope that they're right. You hope they got it right. You hope your requirements didn't change. You hope that the insight that you got back was what you anticipated. But often it's not. And then you got to go back and go. And so this could take weeks to get sort of these answers that you want. But we can reason across and get these answers in seconds, and you'll see that here. So anyway, how it works. So describe what you're looking for, get answers pulled directly from your data, and then ask follow-up questions to dig deeper. We can do all kinds of deeper analysis. We can save and rerun answers. We can build dashboards and do all kinds of things. So let me just say here, I'm going to say, I'm going to totally make this up on the fly. Do I have any patient with heart problems and obesity, which I'm sure we do, but anyway, you don't even have to spell the a lot of the words right. It'll most likely figure it out. But again, this is a session, so you can continually go back and forth and ask follow-up questions. But essentially, what we're doing here is sharing data, metadata, the prompt, project description, objectives, and every previous question into an LLM, and you can see the reasoning as it happens. So, searching for heart, cardiovascular conditions, looking for obesity-related things, checking what types of conditions, finding all heart related conditions. So you don't have to be very descriptive. You just have to be, well, let me take that back. You have to be descriptive, but you don't have to be so descriptive that it adds a ton of complexity, if that makes sense. So anyway, here we are. We got some results back. And look at that. We have 23 patients with both heart problems and obesity, right? So we're getting some message analysis here that allows users to have some context around, hey, this is These are interesting insights about the data. So 23 patients, we have the oldest, the youngest, and the average. And then here are all the results provided to the user. So there's the 23 results. So, date of birth, city, gender, and then the name. We can quickly, look at this in a graph view as well. So you can zoom in and out and understand, hey, what are some of the related aspects of this? We use AI to suggest which field to group. So now we have male and female. We can pull them back and forth and start to see sort of, what are these insights that we can glean out of this data? And again, this is all on the fly. The LLM is helping us build all of this. None of this is sort of hard coded, and that's the beauty of it, is because we don't know what data sets anybody's going to want to upload, nor do we know what prompts they're going to ask, but we don't need to. The LLM is able to sort of figure this out for us. We can also do charts and graphs. Charts, there's a line graph, pie charts, whatever you want. Most of it's in here, highly configurable. So anyway, I'll go back to the results real quick and then come back here. So here is where I think it gets interesting, and this is where sort of what I think is the most important part of this is this human in the loop. So those 5 reasoning steps, I'm going to just open them up here, and we can see how each step contributed to the results. Now I totally made that question up on the fly. There's, I think a domain expert will probably be able to ask smarter questions than me on this topic. That's why we got no matches, but it continued on and finally, was able to sort of understand what are the relevant pieces of information that I can pull together based off the data sets available to answer that question. So in this case, it was 5 steps to get there. Over here, we also showed the data sources it used. So, patient medical conditions history and actual just patient names. So all of this. So, so you can see, how the AI assisted us to get this answer, which is very important. So I'm just gonna, minimize that and then minimize this too, so we can just move on and have more screen space. By the way, I'll just show you, this query was finished in 59.4 seconds, which it's not a long time, but we've seen a lot of these, depending on the setup and the configuration, of 10 to 30 seconds for an answer. We also offer, or the LLM offers, follow-up questions. Show me specific heart conditions for these patients, medical burden analysis, whatever. Lots of different suggestions as well. Down here, we can, you can do an analyze. So you could say, why is this important? Or what is the most, what would be the best advice for these folks? Doesn't matter. You can ask and get deeper analysis based off of an individual result. You can save this once you get to a point where you say, hey, this is a good answer. I like it. The results are good. I looked at the steps. I believe this is a deterministic answer. I'm going to save it, and then you can run that later. You can hook it into a Power BI. You can run it at night via API. All kinds of scenarios there. You can remember this as well. I'll talk about memories a little bit later, but memories is really just our way of pre-loading into the prompt certain aspects that help guardrail the AI or the LLM and helps it keep the context relevant to what we're trying to do, if that makes sense. We can also download this result to a CSV or Excel. But here is where, I think the second part of it gets interesting. So we also show the approach. Okay. Again, this is super important for humans to understand how the LLM came up with their result. So in this case, I created a list. I created a separate list. I joined. I included demographic details. So these are all the steps. So what are the reasoning steps? Yes. What are the data sources? Great. I like the approach, and I got the answer back that I like. And I feel confident about. You can then, save it and rerun it. But let me do this. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, remove the city column. So we can automatically just use the AI to manipulate the data and the results just to get the answers that you're looking for. And typically we think that within a session you might have 10 or 12 or 15, whatever, different questions to really narrow down results as you go. It's probably unlikely that you're going to get the exact answer that you're looking for based off of a single question, unless it's a very generic specific question. So there we go. We got rid of the cities just because it maybe wasn't relevant. So we're just trying to clean up the data. You could obviously do that in Excel, but I'm just trying to use that as an example. You can really dictate to the LLM or in our tool Logic, hey, this is how I want to see the results, and get rid of certain results, that sort of thing. So anyway, for this one, let me show you. I'm just going to added more suggestions, but I'm going to go up here too. I'm going to show you another thing. This is the durable asset, this view SQL. So this is the SQL that it generated in less than a minute. Interestingly though, like we've seen queries where multi-step queries where the results came back as a SQL query and they're over 300 rows long. There's no way humans are going to be able to do that. Maybe your best data analyst could do it, but I doubt they're going to be able to do it in a minute or two. So this is the aspect of the tool that lets you sort of run this query. So once we get this query back, we run that SQL query on the local instance of Logic to get the results. So the LLM never runs the query on your data. It's all done locally under your control, of course. So instead of saving this answer, I'm just gonna come up to here. If we did save it, it would just populate here into the saved queries or saved prompts for this project. But in this case, I already have a bunch in here. So I'm just gonna show you one of these. So this is an example of a sort of more complex, right? Show me 30-day readmission rates for heart failure patients stratified by age group and comorbidity count. So kind of a sophisticated query. The first time we ran it, it took 36 seconds. We can now rerun it as many times as we want. And in this case, they're taking milliseconds to complete. And I'll look at the original result. We got here are the results. And then every single time we rerun it, you'll get new results, assuming the data changes. Static data, it wouldn't be as interesting, but the idea would be to run this on a reoccurring basis. And the reason why this first one took 36 seconds, well, it's because we had to share all the metadata with the LLM so the LLM could write the SQL query for us. But once we have that deterministic result, we feel very good about it. We feel confident about it. Maybe it's been reviewed by a committee to say, yes, this is right. We all agree. Like, we don't need the LLM anymore. We already have the query. So every time you rerun it, it only takes milliseconds. So this one actually costs pennies of tokens, costs you tokens. These are free, essentially. Just the compute and the storage is all you need. So super powerful, we think. Over here, I'm just going to shift over here. This is we can do some other things with this. You can copy the query ID and send it off to somebody via email. They can then click on it and say and see the exact results that you just got. You can view in the chat. So you can go straight to the chat that this was created in, so you can see some of the history. You can chat about runs. You can share with projects. So a lot of things you can do. But we think the interesting thing here, and this is the human in the loop aspect, is downloading the audit report. So I just did that. Show me here's the query, right? We just ran that. This is the AI reasoning steps. This is a mutable ID. So you can say, hey, this is absolutely what we ran on the data sets, and this is the results we got. Who authorized it, myself, and when? What are the data sources referenced? In this case, 3 data sources were used to answer this question. And then here's the full SQL. This is a long, semi-long one, but this is what you could save off, or someone could come in later and say, I want to just verify and validate that, you're getting good results. And I want to see how you reason through it, or how the AI reasoned through it to come up with that deterministic result. So anyway, here we are. We're back to the saved queries. You can also create dashboards too. You can quickly just add a. I'll try this one. I don't know if this is going to look good or not. I just because it's probably not, because we're just. Let me try this one. I'm going to select a column by last name and just and then select the value of medication and just hit save. See how that looks. Okay, that looks better. You just need to sort of understand what data sets you're trying to build a graph for. So you can do all this stuff. You can build as many dashboards as you like. Real quick, by the way, if we go to prezo mode right here, we just white out the back. So now you can copy and paste and drop that into a PowerPoint if you like it. But it's just a way to sort of, be able to share this information out without, the color of that you choose. By the way, you have full autonomy on how this looks. You can go night mode. We have all kinds of just views that it's really personable to whoever is using it. We can even use your specific brand colors. We've built that in as well. So anyway, I'll go here quickly to memories. We don't have a memory in here, but this is a way, add notes for the AI to remember across sessions. So if there's certain things that are important, like obfuscating certain PII or PHI, we can tell that in here. Hey, anytime you see a social security number, I need you to obfuscate it. Or, if there is avoid these scenarios, anyway, it's pre-prompting before the prompt gets loaded. So anyway, back up here, we have within this project, medical data, we also have where you save the answers. Every saved answer is also put up here, aggregated and correlated into answers up here. So I'll go there now. So these are within each project. You can see all the saved answers. As far as user groups, we have all kinds of permissioning and admin style permissions. We have a thing called mounts where we can connect the S3 bucket. We can manage uploads. We can do Postgres, and it's really cool how we can just ask questions and say, hey, I want to connect an S3 bucket. And it'll say, oh, okay, what's it called, or where is it at? Do all kinds of things there. It's a way to sort of walk you through creating data sets or connecting data sets. So, again, it's like a chat as well. I can help you configure this mount. What data sources would you like to connect? I'll just say, I'm going to say MySQL. So we'll give that a second to share out with Claude Sonnet. And so it sort of walks the user through this, how to connect and what are the information we need. So really neat way to connect data sets if you're interested in. Like I mentioned, you can upload from your computer, S3 bucket. We can connect to databases. Again, we believe that disparate data sets are the reasoning across disparate data sets is the most important thing here. So we try to make it as easy as possible here. Let me come down here to some settings real quick. This is the features, and I talked about this earlier. Anytime we share anything with an LLM, you have the option to either turn that on or off, allow it or not, depending on your risk tolerances. But a message analysis in the TAT that we do share that with LLM. We can do metadata refinement, which I showed you. Every widget, the AI will suggest the right widget. So if a line graph is the most appropriate for the data that it has in its results, it'll recommend that versus a pie chart or something different. Project memories, users allow users to save and share context notes that are injected into AI prompts. I showed you that. You can turn that on and off. our clients that are the most sensitive and regulated typically toggle between schema only and stats only. Sample data is where we actually share those 20 fields per column, not same row. And it helps orient the LLM and alleviates some, I don't want to say hallucinations, but it definitely alleviates some questions that, it just provides better results, better answers, more clarity if you choose to use sample data. Some of our clients don't. They use schema only or stats only, which is cardinal, column type, cardinality, max, min, but no row data. So, but I have done demos where I didn't realize I was in schema only mode and the results were really good. I didn't notice. So again, we can get really good results by sharing no data. And I would imagine you can, I know we can, but you might have to make a decision. Hey, this user with these data sets can only use schema only ever. And that's just a hard requirement. And we can configure that in so that the role-based access controls are such that you have full control over that. I mentioned branding. We can choose any color you want to make it look good. So Bank of America, obviously, red, white, and blue. Here's where we configured the models. So you can choose and pick which models you want to connect to. We also have full data classification, managing of some storage, users. I won't go click on all of these, but you can see, we have some full robust controls around a lot of this stuff. Click on here on the profile. This is me. By the way, we fully integrate with the Microsoft Azure, AWS, Entra ID, whatever you need for authentication and access control. We can connect to those devices or those Active Directories so that you can manage the permissions within that, just like you would do for everything else. Here I mentioned the appearance. So if you wanted night owl, you could choose that. You wanted day owl, you can do that. We have some funny ones in here, but newspaper, everything is configurable. This is one of our people prefer this one a lot, this dark mode. But yeah, I'll just click over here real quick so you can see. Very nice and crisp if you choose to have sort of the dark mode view. Going back here, I'm going to go back to appearance. I like Logic Day, sort of just my preference, but API key. So anything you do in here or all the results you get back, we can connect to via API to pull into Power BI or whatever you want. So anyway, that's pretty much most of it. It is really around sort of reasoning through a lot of data sets to get results back and to put this capability into a user's hands that maybe they're not an expert on SQL, certainly not an expert on how to pull a bunch of disparate data sets together, but they are a domain expert and they want to be able to just query their data using natural language to get results back. And they want to feel confident that there is an audit-ready, traceable, explainable way for them to defend the answers that they get. So that's pretty much it. Down here you can quickly go straight into a project with a question on the fly. So hopefully you see the value that we provide. I'll show you one more thing too, by the way. I can't believe I almost skipped over this, but here we have the Logic audit logs. So we feed prompts and results and not results, prompts and queries and schema and data set information into our own logs. So as you can see here, I'm going to go here. I'm just going to create a new session. I'm going to say, who are my most who uses the most tokens? I spelled tokens wrong. Let's see what it does. Yeah, so it already automatically built or created the session title top token users analysis, the AI decided that that might be the best name for this session. But yeah, so here we are. So we have, Chris Hauser, one of my co-founders, is by far the biggest token consumer, 20 million tokens. I'm next with 14. Nick, our founding engineer, is 6. And it has a little bit of insight. So Nick's calls are much more efficient. Of course, he's an engineer. He's a domain expert asking these questions. But you can see, you can start to analyze, hey, what are my users doing? Who's using the most tokens? You could say, hey, within this project, within the medical patient project, what are they most concerned about, or what are the questions that are most asked? So you as a user or sort of a supervisor or leadership can start to understand, hey, what are the things that people are asking about within individual projects? And if you think about a future where everybody believes we're in this sort of agentic world, and if you follow enterprise AI adoption as strongly as I am, it is a very hot topic around how do enterprises adopt AI, and how do they sort of reimagine or re-engineer or automate existing workflows using LLMs. We are not a solution that is sort of bolted on to, say, Salesforce or some other SaaS solution, some other CRM. Those capabilities exist today. They now are all sort of using AI as well. But we are sort of purpose-built AI native to answer questions, and we think that this could be a tool where you as an organization starts to figure out, hey, these are workflows that are that have been built for many, many years, and they work. But if we were to sort of rebuild them, how would we do that? And so we know which data sets are queried, how often, and the frequency and the volume. What kind of prompts are people asking? How is there a decision structure in there that needs to be respected? Like we can expose all of that. And allow you to decide, hey, these are workflow candidates that are potentially good to be rebuilt. So our own logs allow us to sort of figure out what are some of the things that are most important in an AI world to look at and figure out if this is something you want to rebuild with an AI first mentality. So anyway, yeah, these queries are coming up about 25 seconds, not too long to wait. Last thing I'll say is within each session, we do offer or allow for context, in-session context. So all previous questions are sort of remembered by the LLM, so you can really just inspect your data or explore your data with full context within the session, so that you can get to the point much quicker. And by the way, here's an example of the AI deciding, hey, a line graph is a better way to show this query versus just the results. So it just automatically said, hey, I'm going to show you a chart with a line graph because it's probably keyed off trends over time, and line graph is perfect for that. So anyway, heading back to the dashboard, give you a sense of the power of this and what it can do. And listen, really would love to give you a demo at some point in person if you wanted to ask questions. But yeah, this is Logick, and appreciate the time that you take to watch this today. Thank you.